Hello everyone, good evening, good Gefeld. I'm here at the Grand Traverse Commons in Traverse City. This is a restoration project, much like the restoration project that happened at the Smelteverket, that is happening at the Smelteverket in Oda, Norway. And I want to show you in a little video here, what's going on and what's happened. And I'm going to start here, up above the this facility. It was called the State Hospital. It was Michigan's State Hospital, where the mentally challenged people and severely disabled people were taken in the early 1900s and throughout the 1900s. My mom, she grew up across the street here in Traverse City. She remembers walking her dogs and riding her bike back here around these old brick buildings. Remember seeing all the different people. There's cages that they could come out in, so they couldn't escape, but they could be outside. And my mom remembers seeing these crazy people. Excuse me, not crazy people. To her as a child, they looked crazy. People with big heads and small bodies, and she just remembers them yelling at her and moaning and making weird sounds. I remember hearing those stories when I was growing up. But right here, we're at the trails that are up above the State Hospital, and I'm going to walk down and show you. It reminds me much of the project in Oda at the Smelteverket. So over there, the brick buildings are being worked on. This project has been going on for like 15, 20 years now. The whole facility is much larger than the project in Oda at the Smelteverket. But it reminded me much of what was going on there. There's lots of graffiti in Oda, but we had the same things here. This was a place where kids would hang out. These buildings were falling apart. Abandoned for many years. When I was growing up, there never was any activity here, very little. They were all falling apart, much like what was happening in Oda. I can smell coffee right now. So all these buildings are pretty much being occupied by different kinds of businesses. This is a microbrewery. Microbreweries are really popular in Michigan. They make their own beer there. I can smell coffee being roasted right now. There's a really popular coffee company here. So all these brick buildings are being fixed. They were all abandoned. This is kind of the back of the whole facility of the old State Hospital. You can see I'm coming down to the really kind of the special part, the part that was the main, and you can see it's quite large. The old Victorian buildings with the steeples. So this is the back of it. All the buildings here you see on the ground level, it's mostly a kind of a corridor of shops, specialty shops. And then the upper rooms, upper stories have become apartments, offices. It continues on this way. This is all being restored still. Over here, this is the coffee shop. There's a cafe right there. I don't know what that is. They're little shops. This is called Left Foot Charlie's. This is another microbrew or winery. It's a winery. Higher Grounds, that's a coffee shop right there. See the coffee sign. So right now I'm just kind of walking around the perimeter of this work in progress. So up above here, up above where I parked my car where we started this video. That's all kind of woods and trails now. People go and hike. Downtown Traverse City is that way. The hospital here in Traverse City is one of our best hospitals here in northern Michigan. That hospital is just right over there. So this was kind of part of the hospital. This, the state of Michigan decided to build this here for whatever reason. So this was a massive complex here in Traverse City. Very spectacular, really. When it was built, it must have been amazing. So these buildings are all kind of right here. These buildings we're looking at are being restored now, whereas all of these are pretty much finished. So this looked a lot worse a year ago. You can see they got the new roof going. These are going to become, I'm not sure what this will be, more shops, apartments, offices. Crazy people, I'm saying crazy people, excuse me. Very severely handicapped people were kept here. This reminds me a lot of my building in Oda. The bricks falling apart. So I've been here. My tiles are in one of the shops here, and I've been here with my tiles for about 14 years, since the very beginning. So I've been here and been through this whole. I've seen this whole restoration kind of through its different stages. Everything's getting fixed up. So my mom used to ride her bike and people would walk here. The man who started this, I think it's Mr. Munson, he also had a love of trees. So, oh man, he planted a whole bunch of trees that aren't found anywhere else in Michigan. He planted them here on these grounds. Like there's like 80 trees, 90 trees that he planted. These are all abandoned, falling apart Victorian mansions that are being restored now. That's a really neat building there. So when I was a kid in high school, in 6th grade, I had one of the best leaf collections, because we would come here and my mom knew that all these trees were there, and we got all these unusual trees and leaves from the trees that aren't found anywhere else in Michigan. Like I think that's a different kind of pine tree. And then I got an A on my leaf project. So like I said, this is kind of the last stage of this whole operation. They're kind of moving here now, getting these buildings fixed up. But this is what the whole thing looked like when they first started. Here are some of the cages I was talking about. So my mom remembers, must have been right here. She would ride her bike right here. And there'd be people, severely disabled people that in these little open air pens, they could come out and get some fresh air. So this is kind of the project. They're starting the work here. Now let's go over here and I'll show you what all of this will eventually be like. And again, this reminds me of much of the project I'm involved in Oda. So another reason why I'm really excited to be a part of the project in Oda, because I know what it can become. So let's go take a look in here now.